I want to welcome you to the Pro Mindset Podcast. The Pro Mindset Podcast is all about diving into the headspace that results in championship performance. High-performing athletes, winners, have this mental flow and have a positive headspace for their performances and success. Join me, Craig Domann, sports attorney and NFL agent, on this podcast. I will interview pro athletes, college athletes, football coaches, and sports personalities. Together, we can discover how you can get in the flow and have your own pro mindset. Welcome to Pro Mindset Podcast. On our pod this week, we're going to do a Super Bowl edition. We're going to talk about Super Bowl 55. Can't talk about Super Bowl 55 without talking about Tom Brady and Patrick Mahomes. We're going to do a game prediction. We're going to do a little quarterback comparison. I think everybody's thinking of this is the passing of the torch in Super Bowl 55 from the GOAT to the future GOAT. We'll talk about that. We're also going to talk about some of the unparalleled records to this point that make Tom Brady the undisputed GOAT in NFL history. We're going to highlight some of the comparisons between Brady and Patrick Mahomes at the same point in time. Brady after 4 seasons, Patrick's in his 4th season. And then I think the question that everybody's curious about is, can Patrick Mahomes catch Tom Brady, records-wise, statistically, postseason, all that type of stuff. That is a phenomenal question for debate. I think it's almost impossible to answer, given that Brady's playing his 21st season and Mahomes is playing his 4th. Since everybody is talking about the GOAT and the future GOAT, let's start out by looking at Patrick Mahomes. Who is Mahomes? Why is he so good? How does he compare to Brady now or at the same point in his career? And can he catch Brady? Let's look at Mahomes' background. Not everybody has a dad that's a professional athlete. And Mahomes' father was a pitcher in the big leagues for the Texas Rangers. Mahomes was a multi-sport athlete in high school. Ironically, I think his dad thought he was going to be a Major League Baseball player. He was drafted in the 37th round of the 14 MLB draft by the Tigers, but he chose instead to go to Texas Tech and play quarterback for Cliff Kingsbury. Cliff is now the head coach of the Arizona Cardinals. And in 2017, Mahomes was the second quarterback drafted behind Mitchell Trubisky, who was picked by the Bears with the 2nd pick. And the Chiefs moved up to number 10 to take Mahomes with the 10th pick. And then the Chiefs had the luxury of having a former number 1 pick, Alex Smith, in the quarterback QB1 role. And so when Mahomes showed up in Kansas City, they didn't force him to start right away. He got to sit behind Alex for his rookie season, except for one game he got to play against the Broncos. And so Mahomes really got an MBA or like a master's degree of some type in quarterbacking in the NFL from Alex Smith while he sat and watched. And now when you look at what has Mahomes accomplished through 4 seasons shy of 1 Super Bowl result. Well, he's Super Bowl 54 MVP. He's made it to back-to-back Super Bowl appearances. A lot of guys in Canton, Ohio that haven't done that. His winning percentage is around 82% and change, which is astonishing at this point in his career. And during the offseason after year 3, the Chiefs redid his deal early, signed him to a $500+ million contract. So when he signed that mega contract, a lot of players have a tendency to slump. It's kind of like a mega contract hangover of sorts. And Mahomes certainly hasn't had that as the Chiefs and all their meaningful games and the games he played in this year, they've only lost 1. Now let's talk about what makes Mahomes special. He is transforming the quarterback position with his creativity. No-look passes, off-platform, extending plays, backpedaling 12, 13 yards behind the line of scrimmage on his drops to buy time. He just throws the ball with the flick of a wrist. He throws the ball from every potential arm socket position possible. There is no, this is how he throws the ball in rhythm. He adjusts to the line of sight he might have with his receiver, with where defenders may have their hands. So he's either throwing over them or throwing under them. He is the consummate chameleon. He adjusts so well on any given play to whatever the situation requires. And then he's able to be accurate, throwing off balance and then with a different arm socket. And I think that comes from playing shortstop in baseball. The other thing I would say about Mahomes that makes him special is just look at the postseason last year when they were behind all three games, particularly in the Super Bowl, and they came back to win, obviously, all three. He doesn't get scared. He doesn't get intimidated. He doesn't panic. He has the composure of a 20-year vet. I'm sure Tom Brady has more composure than Patrick Mahomes. But when you watch Mahomes, he has almost as much and more than most any other quarterback in the NFL. And I think that's what makes him special. I think the other thing that really helps him is he's got a all-star cast. And he's got like two of the fastest receivers in the NFL with Hardman and Hill. He's got a Hall of Famer at tight end. They juice up their offense this year by drafting Edwards-Helaire from LSU in the first round this last offseason. And Sammy Watkins and all these other guys are no chumps. So he has got a tremendous skill team to work with. So with all that being said, let's look at what Tom Brady said about Mahomes earlier this week on Monday in a press conference. Quote unquote, he says, he just has a great awareness in the pocket, incredible vision of the field. He knows exactly when to get rid of the ball. He's got great poise in the pocket. He's got that nice, sweet little whippy arm that I used to have when I was a little bit younger. He's got that athletic ability to extend plays. He's got all the physical and he's got all the mental tools. He's going to be in this game quite a few more times, in my opinion. That is from the GOAT. That is incredible high praise from Brady about Mahomes. Let's discuss or let's compare briefly how Patrick Mahomes aligns with Pro Mindset. And if you're a regular listener, you know it's belief, passion, motivation, training, lifestyle, power patterns, and your game face. And I would say the thing that separates Patrick Mahomes from everybody else right now is his game face. His ability to show up in big moments. His ability to make plays when he needs to make plays. It can be 3rd and 15. It's not a big deal. In fact, I can only think of one play, and I watch a lot of football, and I've watched a lot of Chiefs games. In the last time Patrick Mahomes lost a playoff game, it was the AFC Championship a couple years ago against the Patriots and Tom Brady. And in the last series going into half, I don't remember who was screaming down the seam wide open, and Mahomes was off balance and trying to buy time and trying to get away from a rushing defender, and he airmailed it like 5 yards over the receiver's head. If that would have been an accurate pass, it had been 6. It would have given the Chiefs tremendous momentum going into the half, and if I'm not mistaken, the Chiefs settled for a field goal, and then they went on to lose. Besides that play, where the opportunity was there to make a big play, Mahomes makes the play all the time. That's what makes him unique. That's what makes him special, is his game face. It doesn't matter the situation. It doesn't matter what people perceive to be pressure. It doesn't matter what the scoreboard says. It doesn't matter if, hey, it's a do or die play. Mahomes has a knack for making the play. And that comes from preparation, from practicing it. You know, a lot of these crazy plays that Andy Reid and Eric Bieniemy called for the Chiefs, you know, from years gone by, back in the 50s. You just don't call that play without executing it effectively and successfully in practice multiple times. The coaches have to have a confidence level that all 11 guys on the field know what they're doing. They're going to execute it excellently, and that's why they call that play. And so for them to do that, they have to practice a lot of plays because you know they're not calling every play on Andy Reid's play card. So the bottom line is Mahomes prepares, he practices it, he visualizes it, and then in the nanosecond before that play, all the stimuli going in his mind, the voice he's listening to is the voice of positivism. It's the oxygen of belief. He has no doubt in his mind that he's going to make that play. He's going to make that pass. It doesn't matter what the defense does. It doesn't matter if his receiver falls down. He'll find another receiver. If they all fall down, he'll scramble. He'll find a way to get a first down. That's just the kind of playmaker he is. At the quarterback position, arguably the number one and most important position in professional sports, he is an artist. He's the best. He's creative. He's on another level above everyone else. So let's compare Mahomes in the postseason to Brady. And let's not look at year four. Let's look at overall. So everybody knows Brady's won 6. Mahomes has won 1 Super Bowl. Brady's been to 10. Mahomes has been to 2. MVPs, Brady 4. Mahomes 1. Most likely whoever wins is going to be the MVP, so that number is going to be increasing for one of those quarterbacks after Sunday. Passing touchdowns in the postseason, Brady's got 80. Mahomes has got 17. Playoff wins, this is a huge one. Brady's got 33. You got to win them to get to the Super Bowl. Mahomes has 6. And then this is probably the most astonishing stat for Tom Brady. It's not going to 10 Super Bowls. It's not winning 6. I mean, if you win half, you win 5. And he might win 7 before it's all said and done. But what I see as the most astonishing statistic is a marathon statistic, which is how many years has Brady not made it to the playoffs? One year in 2008, he tore his ACL in the first game, missed the last 15, and so he didn't play in the playoffs. And the other year that they didn't make it out of 20 years was 2002. The Patriots had a winning record of 9-7. The Patriots tied for the division lead at 9-7 with the Jets, who went 9-7, and the Dolphins, who went 9-7. And the Jets had the tiebreaker, and so they went to the playoffs. So in 19 years of being healthy, Brady had a winning record 19 times, and 18 times went to the postseason. That is unprecedented, and I'm just wondering if, after Andy Reid leaves and there's a changing of the guard with Mahomes' skill team and Tyreek's gone and Hardman's gone and Kelsey's gone and a lot of these guys are gone. Can he take his team 19 years in a row to a winning record? Can he take him to the playoffs 18 years or more? That's incredulous to me. The other thing that's interesting about Brady is out of those 18 times that he took the Patriots to the playoffs, they were one and done only twice. The rest of the time they won games, got deep into the playoffs. If they didn't make it to the Super Bowl, most of the time they lost in the AFC Championship game to Peyton Manning and Indy or to Pittsburgh. So bottom line is that is the definition and the picture of domination. And then during that same time, the Patriots were taking everybody's best shot every game because they were the team. They're the dynasty. Now moving to what is it going to take for Mahomes to surpass Tom Brady in some of these crazy statistics? Well, Mahomes is ahead of Brady in a lot of things, like average yards passing per game. Mahomes is about 44 yards per game higher than Brady. Average TD passes per game. Mahomes is pretty close to half a touchdown more per game, which equates to about 8 per season. Wins per season, they're both at 12. So if you're a Mahomes fan, if you're a Chiefs fan, things are looking pretty good over a shorter period of time. The question is, can he do this? What he's done the last 3 seasons out of the 4 he started, can he relatively do it like 7 more times that he's done it? A multiplier of 7 of what he's done it, because Brady's been doing this for 21 years. And some people have kind of calculated when might Mahomes pass Brady. It's going to take him 12, 13 years to catch him in TD passes. It's going to take him maybe 15 years when he hits about 40 to catch Brady in all-time wins. Brady has 230 all-time wins, which might be more than some teams have over 30 years. When you look at Mahomes and you look at Brady, you got to love them both. Mahomes has been a little bit more excellent in a shorter period of time, but the thing that just keeps smacking me in the face is the fact that Brady has done this for 20, 21 years. You see a lot of NFL guys that'll do excellent for a couple years and then they kind of disappear. And then you'll see quarterbacks like Aaron Rodgers and Ben Roethlisberger that have won Super Bowls that have been really, really good for a long period of time, but they're only a fraction as successful as Brady over that 2-decade time period. I want to go back to, in my mind, thinking about how in the heck can Mahomes surpass Brady? And one of the things you got to think about is Brady had the Jets, the Dolphins, and the Bills in his division for all those years. And I think he caught a perfect storm because the Bills, after going to 4 consecutive Super Bowls and losing all 4 until the last 2 years, they really have been in a slump for 25 years. The Dolphins, they go undefeated in 72. Dan Marino comes in, I believe, in 83 and was in the Super Bowl his rookie year, never to come back. And they haven't been a playoff caliber team in 20 plus years. And then you got the Jets. And I don't know what else I need to say about the Jets. They haven't been a playoff team in a long time. I think the last time they went to the playoffs is when they had that tiebreaker. The Jets haven't been to the playoffs since 2002, unless they were a wild card team since then. I didn't look that up, but it's 2021 right now, and 2002 as a divisional winner is a long drought. That's 19 years. That's another 2 decades. So my question is, are the Broncos, Raiders, and Chargers going to do the same thing for the Chiefs? Are the Chargers staying pat? Are they going to be happy with the same staff, going with the same quarterbacks? Well, they've got a changeover in their head coaching position this year. They've got a rookie quarterback that's arguably the best rookie in this class, to be determined, because Justin Herbert had the best stats of any rookie quarterback this year. And of course, Joe Burrow got hurt. But it's like one of those 2 guys most likely is going to be the dude from this class. Are the Chargers going to lay down for the Chiefs? You think John Gruden, with his 10-year contract and 7 or 8 years left, is he going to roll over? Is he going to be happy with Derek Carr? Is he going to stay pat? Or is he going to do what it takes to try to dethrone Kansas City in the AFC West? And the same thing holds true for Denver Broncos. They just brought in a new GM. If they don't win this year, they're probably going to bring in a new head coach next year. They're trying to figure out what to do with their quarterback situation. They're not happy with their quarterback situation. They're exploring options and a lot of teams are doing this. They're exploring options on how to make a blockbuster trade for Deshaun Watson with the Texans. So it's like, if you can't take care of business there for 2 decades, you don't have to worry about getting the Super Bowls. You don't have to worry about breaking records, because you're not going to. I don't care who you are. Tom Brady didn't do it by himself. He had 21 other guys helping him with, an offense plus the defensive guys. It takes both. It takes special teams too. They had an awesome kicker for numerous years in New England. So the bottom line is, it takes a team, it takes a community, it takes a locker room to have that kind of success. And then the next question is, Andy Reid, do you think he's going to be coaching in 15, 16, 17 years from now? I highly doubt it. There's a possibility he rides off into the sunset next week if the Chiefs win this weekend. He could also coach for 5 or 6 more years, but he's not going to coach for 15, 16, 17 more years. So Patrick Mahomes is not going to have the luxury of this offensive genius who's a wise coach, lots of experience, been to the Super Bowl before he went with the Chiefs last year. He went there with the Eagles and Donovan McNabb several years ago. He went to the NFC Championship game several times with the Eagles and didn't make it to the Super Bowl. He's out the door. So is Kansas City going to promote within and give Eric Bieniemy the opportunity to coach the team, give him the keys to the franchise? And how is he going to do as a head coach? No guarantees that anybody that's never been a head coach is going to be successful as a head coach. I will say any first-year head coach says Patrick Mahomes as their starting quarterback is going to be in pretty good shape, but there's still no guarantees. And then I think the other issues with respect to Mahomes and having an opportunity to break these long-term marathon records, postseason records that Brady's established, is, can Mahomes be durable? Can he stay hungry? Can he stay dialed in for 2 decades? Can he overcome the inevitable contract disputes he's going to have? Holy smokes. Seemed like every 2 years for the last 10 years that Tom Brady was in New England, there was a contract dispute. They never wanted to pay him fair value. They always wanted him to take a company discount so that they could bring in people, which really is the way the owners put more money in their pocket. Is Clark Hunt, is he more about winning? Is he more about money? Well, time will tell. Given the fact that they gave Mahomes a monster deal last offseason, I think it bodes well for Chiefs fans and the Chiefs organization that Clark Hunt is definitely more about winning. Can Mahomes eliminate the off the field and on the field distractions that inevitably come when you're in an organization for a long period of time? If you look at Ben Roethlisberger, he's dealt with those types of things. Drew Brees has dealt with those types of things. Aaron Rodgers, they tried to draft over him this last year, and that was a distraction for him. How's Patrick Mahomes going to respond when Kansas City drafts a quarterback in the first or second round 6 years from now? And he's thinking, man, I just hit 33. They must think I'm washed up. How's he going to respond? The other thing that we can't predict is how many different GMs is Mahomes going to play for? What are the differing types of philosophies those general managers might have? Is it possible that all these guys could stay in place for a long time? Absolutely, it's possible, but it's not likely. What's going to start happening to Kansas City is other organizations are going to start stealing and picking front office talent from that organization to bring winners into their organization. And Kansas City is going to have to reload. And every time somebody leaves and they bring somebody else in, it changes the culture. After multiple moves and multiple changes over multiple years, you start seeing a change in the direction of an organization. You start seeing a change in the philosophy of the organization. And sometimes 5, 7, 10 years down the road, it's not the same as it was today. There's no disputing that today the Kansas City Chiefs culture is spot on. They weathered the storm this year. They didn't have a Super Bowl hangover. They lost one meaningful game. The guys were dialed in, but they didn't obliterate. They didn't dominate. They just did what they had to do to win. That is what is so encouraging about how they played against Buffalo. If they do that Sunday, watch out Tampa Bay. But if they play like they did during the regular season, it's a toss-up. Anybody could win that game in Tampa on Sunday. And a couple more things related to whether Mahomes can break those marathon records is contingent upon how does the front office do in their drafting process? Do they hit home runs? Do they hit doubles? Do they strike out on some of these guys? If they have a series of first-round busts at critical positions, it's going to hurt the team. How is the front office going to manage the salary cap? A lot of teams are going to be struggling, like the Saints are going to be struggling this year, trying to figure out how to fit everybody in with a salary cap that might go down 18 to 23 million that should come out here before the league year starts. Nobody expected the pandemic. We don't know what's going to happen 7 years from now, 12 years from now. There could be something else that causes the salary cap to take a hit. How does Kansas City handle that? What if somebody retires early and they take a hit? What if they make a trade and there's a negative consequence to their cap? So the management of the cap is going to be pretty important for Patrick Mahomes to be able to field a superstar, Super Bowl quality team because he can't throw the ball to himself. He's going to need those kind of guys playing with him. He's got them now. The question is, how long are they going to still be around? So here's what I would say. In relation or in connection with, can Patrick Mahomes surpass Tom Brady in these statistics and in these records? I would say that if Patrick Mahomes sticks with who he is, has the good fortune of good health, he will break most of Tom Brady's individual statistics, whether it's touchdowns, how many guys, I think Brady's thrown to like 90 different guys for passing touchdowns, things like that. In due time, Mahomes every year is going to inch a little bit closer to those records. But I think the biggest question mark about Patrick Mahomes is, can he be the GOAT in terms of more Super Bowl appearances, more Super Bowl W's, more playoff wins, things like that? I think the jury's out. I'm not saying he can't do it. I hope he does do it. But I'm not saying he can't do it. I'm not saying he can do it. I'm just saying that is a huge hill to climb because you have to have so many people behind you. Front office, coaching staff, other players, offense, defense, and special teams. Patrick cannot do it by himself. If he gets hurt, if he has some type of injury history, it's not going to happen, okay? If there's too much changeover in the coaching staff or in the front office and the team doesn't get jazzed by that, it's going to hurt Patrick Mahomes' ability to break those postseason records. So bottom line is the team around him has to be excellent for Patrick Mahomes to be excellent. Now, what everybody's been waiting for, let's talk about the game. Who's going to win the game? Well, one thing I can tell you is that if either quarterback gets hurt in the first half of the game, the other team's going to win. Obviously, I hope nobody gets hurt. But if a quarterback gets hurt late in the game, it may not make a difference depending on the point spread. But if somebody gets hurt early, I'm betting on the other team. I would go far as to say, because Tom Brady brought the New England Patriots back from a 25-point deficit against the Atlanta Falcons a few years ago, and Patrick Mahomes seems to really sizzle when the Chiefs get behind, that if either team gets down early, don't stop watching. You can expect the losing team will come back and make it a game. And if it's a really close game in the final 5 minutes, I'm betting that the last team with the ball wins the game. But I would also offer up that if Kansas City plays like they did against Buffalo, clicking on all cylinders, watch out, Tampa Bay. Because if something like that happens, I could see the Chiefs winning by 10 plus points. The Chiefs have so much talent, and they have had their eye on the prize from the jump. From the beginning of the season is, hey, let's go back and run it back. I think that was their saying this year. Their motto was run it back. They didn't put that as a motto and a goal to come back to the Super Bowl. Their job will not be finished until they win the Super Bowl. I'm not betting on the game, but if I was, I'd bet on Mahomes and the Chiefs. They have too many weapons, and Andy Reid, the master, he's like the mad scientist. He's like the master X and O guy, is going to throw some trick plays at the Bucs defense. And I know that Tom Brady has thrown touchdown passes to a current NFL head coach in Tennessee while he was with the Patriots. I don't know who Patrick Mahomes might throw the ball to on a trick play in the red zone, in the close red zone. But that's part of the intrigue of the game, is that both of these teams have the best of the best quarterbacks. They both have tremendous weapons on offense. And I really believe that Byron Leftwich and Bruce Arians, Eric Bieniemy, Andy Reid are some of the best coaches on the planet. And they're going to make this game a fun game to watch, regardless who wins. So enjoy the game and have a great Super Bowl. Thank you for listening to this episode of Pro Mindset. If you enjoyed this podcast, please subscribe, rate, and review this podcast. You can follow us on our website, promindsetpodcast.com, or on Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook at Pro Mindset Podcast. Thank you so much for listening. We'll see you the next time.